I think that dance is something which, because it's not something that produces an object that you can study, I don't know, like a text, or it's something that happens live. I think the most important thing is to be able to create some kind of continuity. Yes, if it's with an audience or if it's with a collaboration of the producer or the festival or the director, because it's not something that you can dissociate from the process. It's a process, and then if you manage to create a real collaboration with with real partners that can offer you the chance to do that, to come back again and again and again, and to present to a certain audience the process, but not just like one thing. I think that makes a huge difference, because then that creates context for the work, and that is extremely important. So the fact that I have this collaboration with Roma Europa is extremely important, because that creates exactly that, it creates context. And I know when I come back to Rome, then I know that there's going to be people that were here the first time, the second time, the third time, and I know I have a conversation with them which is already on a completely different level, much more advanced, and this is a very good thing. I think the audience in Italy is first of all very curious, because I never because every time I came, there was always a feeling, because I came with things, the 4 times it was very different things, very different propositions, and we always have had the same very fresh kind of enthusiast reaction and curious reaction, which is the best thing you can have from an audience, you know, that is not expecting something, but it is open, so, you know, that was good. I think along the years what have changed in the way I work changed obviously the result, the choreography, because my process changed along the years. I don't think the central questions that that were interesting to me changed, because basically you are dealing with the same questions. It's movement in time and space. It's always those 3 questions when you, in terms of tool of choreography. So this didn't change, but I did change a lot in the way I work, and I guess that changes the result. I'm taking less and less control over the end result in the process than I used to do at the beginning. So the process today is much more about making certain propositions to the dancer and just letting go of the thing and see what happens, instead of trying to decide, okay, this will be here, that will be there, etc. So I think maybe that create different visually, or in the end choreographically, that create a different product. But for me it's a process of discovering the potential, I think, of choreography as a tool of observation. Yes, you can observe people and behaviors, etc. I think I'm fascinated by this artist, Glenn Gould, and by his work, because he was a pianist, but he did so many other things alongside his pianistic career. And he was one of the first, actually not a lot of people knows it, but he was a real pioneer in recording and editing and manipulating sound and electronics to create music, or to create art. And what he did with this documentary that I'm using, the Quiet in the Land, basically it's a radio documentary, but it's a form of musical composition, because it's just a series of interviews that he made this amazing montage collage out of it, and basically created something which is a sort of music, electronic music, in the sense that it's all recorded and then edited and manipulated in electronic means. So this is one side, one facet of his work, and the other is the more known one, is work as a pianist, and his especially as an interpreter of Bach music. And so I'm using those 2 things, and there's this constant counterpoint between those 2. It's not that I try to translate or illustrate what you have in the soundtrack in the choreography, not at all. It's like, in a way, it's 2 separate things. They come together because they come together at the same space and in the same time, but I'm not trying to make choreography to that, to translate or to illustrate that. The soundtrack is touching a lot of, because those people are talking about all those things and those questions, and their questions about fate and their doubts about their life in general. So these are things that are human, material, and I think the choreography exposes those same questions, but in a different way, not necessarily in direct relation to that, but as it's very similar to the way I also work when I work with music. I don't try to choreograph dance that will illustrate the music. It's like, this is the choreography, this is the music, and then they come together at the same time and at the same space, but not necessarily one working for the other. I don't work with bodies, I work with people. When I do choreography, it's never the focus or the attention is never about the movement. Like the thing that I look at is not the movement, but the thing that I look is people. The movement is a tool. Yes, you can expose certain things and you can create a certain situation and compositions and mechanism, but it's just to basically to help me observe the person, the people, because before that they are bodies, they are people. Yes, and the thing that is interesting to me is to be able to look at that and have certain kind of observations and understanding about people and how they come together and how societies comes together and groups and dynamics in that sense. So it's never about the movement. The movement is just a tool. It's always about the people that do the movements. I don't think a certain movement has a certain quality that you can say, okay, this movement is spiritual, this movement is funny. I don't think so. It's just a matter of context, and it's just a matter of how it is perceived by the viewer. And you can have 10 people and each one will understand it and feel completely different things, and it's okay, because there's not like one official version of what the movements are about or what the piece is about. It's really open. And then I strive for clarity, not for a certain kind of message. Yes, I try to create something which is clear, and then I think that it's open for each one in the audience to understand it and take out of it whatever he wants, which is okay. Yeah.